welcome Dan Trottier to continue the conversation about sustainability in farming. Dan is here to present Cultivating Sustainability Through Agricultural Health and Safety. Dan is the managing partner with Tatonga, Inc. and specializes in providing industry with risk management strategies for their operations. Dan is a professional agrologist with the Saskatchewan Institute of Agrologists and a Canadian registered safety professional and certified health and safety consultant. That's a lot of designations, Dan. Dan has been actively involved with numerous agricultural safety initiatives, including the Alberta Farm Safe Program, AgSafe Alberta, and board positions with the Canadian Agricultural Safety Association and Young Farmer Workers. Dan hopes to improve safety at the farm gate while assisting the agriculture industry to adopt risk management strategies that make sense. So if you would please help me welcome Dan to the stage.
Are we mic'd up? Good morning, everybody. How's your day? I got to tell you, that's a tough row to hoe after two presentations like that this morning. I got to tell you, they were awesome, and thank you again for those, and give them a round of applause. I can almost stop my presentation right here because a lot of the information you just heard is part of the presentation I'm going to talk to you about. So do you want the extra half hour? I see we're having a little bit of trouble with Slido this morning. We're good to go. Okay, that's good to hear. I got a couple questions I'd like to ask for you, but some of you might be saying, what the heck is a safety geek doing on stage talking about sustainability? And what I hope to share with you is a little bit of information from another completely different perspective that is probably outside the window of the sustainability jargon that you're used to hearing. A lot of you, I'm sure, have heard about sustainability. But here's another swear word for you, health and safety. Right? We in the ag industry don't go to work to hurt people. A lot of times we're there with our family, our close community, and we're working with those people to put products on the tables for families around the world. So I just want to take a moment and kind of reflect on the people component of sustainability. This word sustainability, what does it mean to you? What are there, 150, 170 people in the room this morning? There's going to be 170 different definitions around what that word means to you in your organization and your operation. But when we think about the word sustainability, and you Google it, the mighty Google come back and says, it's about taking what you do today, improving it without harming the future opportunity to do it tomorrow, right? And in essence, that's what sustainability is all about. And then, like Edward walked you through, the nasty swear words of measurement. How do you measure sustainability? ESG, environment, social, governance. These are the mechanics that the world stage is using to measure sustainability, right? And like Edward said, we need to have data to be able to talk about how we're sustainable. We need to show the world how Canadian agriculture is sustainable. How are we going to do that? Let's try this out. This is a Slido slide. So I think you kind of zoom in on the magic button there. I've got a bit of a question here for you to answer. Why do you think sustainability initiatives are important, and get this, at the farm gate? Why are they important at the farm gate? And I think magic words are supposed to start appearing. We got 6 people typing in. And I've kind of focused on the farm gate here to bring it right down to the grassroots of your world. Why is it important at the Canadian Farm Gate. So we're starting to see trust with consumers, authentic connection to customer, transparency, the future success of our industry, accountability for inputs, honesty. First one in the chain, right? I'm really happy to see this performing for us, so right on for Slido. Yeah. Sustainability sells, accountability for input, next generation, that's a good one. This next generation thing, All right, so you can kind of start to see some of the ideas that are coming. This is where we're at today, right? So we want to take this, where we are today, and we want to build on that, demonstrate this, and move it forward, and demonstrate to the world somehow that we're sustainable. And we're doing it in a positive way. So honesty, transparent, public trust, future, building trust with Canadians. Next slide, please. Got another question for you. When you think about sustainability, what do you think our focus should be for Canadian agriculture? Where should we focus our energy right away so we can jump on the sustainability stage and demonstrate how good we are on the world stage? Next generation, we got to prove it. Triple bottom line. What is that? Triple bottom line. Succession planning, not just sustainability, regeneration, future-proofing, future environment, collecting, oh, there's that carbon footprint thing, environment, economic viability, young farmers. Okay, kind of cool. Telling this story of what best producers are already doing today. Might be a good source of data and intelligence, and even the farm tours, I wasn't able to go on, but I hear from my wife that it was a very good tour and excellent things looking at some of those opportunities for demonstrating sustainability going forward as well. Economic viability, regenerative agriculture, the future, collaboration, love that word, and data. Okay. I want to tell you a bit of a story, because I think that's what we're supposed to do in these sessions, is share some stories with you. This is the farm. This is where I had a great opportunity to be a farm kid. And this farm picture is about I'm told 1950-ish, right? So it was started in 1940 by these two people. These are my grandparents. And they moved from southern Saskatchewan to northeast Saskatchewan to a small community called Sylvania, which is just south of Tisdale, 2 hours northeast of Saskatoon. And they started the farm. Were they thinking about sustainability when they set up the farm? What do you think? I see nodding heads. What kinds of things were they thinking about when they set up the farm? Survival, right? At the back? Survival. Their children, their family, right? They had these 5 that represented the second generation of the farm. They're trying to keep them alive, trying to put them through school, trying to keep food on the table, right? Sustainability. We've had sustainability for 100 years in this country. And it's like Edward mentioned, it's not that we aren't already doing it. We are doing it. Now we got to get to the point of proving it and demonstrating to the world somehow through these metrics of what sustainability means. This is second generation uncle. Can I go back? So he's the one on your left here. Second generation farmer, passionate farmer, right? He would take time to bring anybody onto the farm and help them understand what farming is all about. Yeah, okay, big equipment, big animals, right? But he would help them understand what it's like to be a farm kid. And that's where he spent his time. But he's got a story. When we start a harvest, you basically pull into a field at the combine and you got to take a sample, right? It's not like it used to, or not like it is today where your moisture testing is happening as you go. In those days, we had to jump up in the back of the combine while it's going down the field to go into the hopper and grab a sample. So he was doing this, normal practice of the day, right? And somehow he ended up going into the hopper. And the 510 Massey Ferguson combine that we were using had a drag auger across the top. As he goes in, he reaches for the other side of the hopper, drag auger underneath him, got chewed up pretty good. Lucky uncle number one. 172 stitches later, tough guy, he was pretty much back at her in about 3 months, right? Lucky uncle number one. Here's my other uncle, second generation farmer. He also advocates strongly for farming. He has spent time over his life. He's still alive today and retired farmer today. And he has helped other farmers do better. Farm management, training. He's been an active part of the community and the world he lives in. And very much a proponent of farming from a Canadian perspective. He's traveled globally. And the thing about these two uncles is anytime they went globally, they didn't go to the tourist stuff, they went to the farms to see what's going on. Lucky uncle number two. It's a frosty fall day. He's hauling grain to the elevator. School bus stalled on the side of the road. So he stops, can't start, so he offers to give a pull start. So he hooks it up to the back of the grain truck, gives it a tug, starts up. Awesome. Kids are happy. Everybody's happy they're going to get to school. He went to unhook the chain, and as he's bent over, the school bus and the grain truck come together on his head. Lucky uncle number two. Took him several years to get over that one. Still hurts me today. So if I've got passion for health and safety, it comes from stories like this, but I can guarantee you every single one of you in this room has a story like this, right? We've got some work to do. Here's our third and fourth generations coming to the table. Nothing yet. Equipment's getting a little bit better. The work environment's getting a bit better. Everybody's a little bit more aware of the issues. Farm's getting bigger, right? We got more and more people on the farm, hired laborers, still have the community coming out and the family coming out during the heavy seasons. We're doing okay. But I'll tell you, I'm still worried about those people. Still thinking about them every single day. To me, this is what it's all about. When we talk about sustainability, what about the family, right? I get carbon capture. I get climate change. I get that. But what about the people that are producing the food that we eat? How are we protecting them? This is my passion bucket. This is where I spend my time and energy. In Canadian agriculture, we have about 10 fatalities for every 100,000 people working in the industry. And when you compare that to other industries, it's roughly 3 times, folks. Agriculture is a high-risk work environment, and we have a lot of things that can reach out and touch us in the ag world. Data is critical. Those fatality numbers I just showed you are relatively new for us in the Canadian agricultural scene, right? That's fresh information because we never collected it before. And we can't collect it very easily because a lot of the reporting was outside of normal communication data collection channels, like WCB, for example. So going back to Edward's point, how are we going to demonstrate to the world that this number is okay as an agricultural organization? We don't even have a lot of data on these kinds of things, the scar stories, the broken limbs, the things that are hurting us. Sometimes we don't even report them, right? I got a few of them myself. I got one right here from a bull in a chute one time. I didn't report that. The rest of the world in other industries are looking for that kind of intelligence. How are we going to report it? The good news story is it's going in the right direction. So data from 1990 onwards, you can see we've got a good slope. We need to continue the slope down in our industry and work on it. And I believe we will get there. It's going to be a positive adventure for us. We just need to do a little bit more and bring some more perspective and awareness to it as we go. What if one person in that generation chain was a fatality? So in this case, my mother. This is their 60th wedding anniversary. None of these people would have been present at that event if she was the result of a farm fatality, right? There's 5 other kids in this family, and it goes exponentially from there when you think about the impact that a farm fatality has on the people that are producing food that we put on the table. Gets you to thinking, right? This is Arnold. Arnold was the farm hand, worked with my grandparents on the farm. Tried and true man, worked right up until he died on the farm. But it gets you to thinking, right? Wait a minute. Yeah, methane gas, climate change. Edward talked about financial accountability and responsibility and desire to do better, right? But sometimes I fear we worry too much about a lot of other things and we lose focus on the people. So this year, the Canadian Ag Safety Association, CASA, commissioned a report, a research report, where we were looking at the current status of the people, health and safety component of sustainability, right? So the idea was to go out on the global stage and look at what these global standards have already included inside of them to measure agricultural health and safety and protection of the people at the farm gate, right? So, we talked to national commodity groups, the Canadian Agricultural Health and Safety Associations. Just so you know, this monitor is not on at the front. Key companies, organizations involved in the industry, and we had 16 stakeholders during this research phase help us out. And thank you to those organizations that participated, because data is everything, right? We got to know what's going on before we can adjust and work on it. Some of the findings that we had that came out of the study. So we found 2 global standards, the SASB and GRI standards, that had some agriculture pieces to them, right? And further still, health and safety components as part of those. So what does this tell you? It's coming, right? These global standards drive the world perspective on evaluating health and safety right down through the food chain, right? So it started, folks. We got some work to do. While we looked at those, in comparison to the rest of this buzzword sustainability that's going on in the world, and it's not a buzzword, I use that affectionately, right? The health and safety piece was relatively very small. There's not a lot of focus on the people component. There's some on the social side of things when you're talking about things like migrant workers, right? But the health and safety piece is pretty fresh on the world stage. And when we looked at it locally, pretty fresh here as well. So we see the organizations locally moving towards sustainability and developing programs, but that people thing is still kind of off to the side, right? So, I mean, that's not a bad thing, in my opinion, because I think it's an opportunity at this point in time. So, some of the other findings we had indicated that the stakeholders that participated wanted to participate some more. They wanted to join and understand and help develop the standards for Canadian agriculture, right? They're going to drive the reporting requirements for our organizations in Canada, for our operations in Canada. Positive statement, right? Another must-do point that we saw, you better include the farm gate in this. If you show up at my door tomorrow with a bunch of requirements that I haven't bought into, you're going to get a reaction, right? And we're going to have a conversation because I don't like what you've got. So it's critical. I think we have to include the farm gate in this conversation. And I'm talking very specifically about people, health, and safety here, right? And we have this opportunity right now to do this because it's young, right? We can set the stage for these requirements, make them real, document what we're doing already, right? To show the world that we do agriculture and protect the people that are invested in agriculture. The last point here, harmonize health and safety sustainability reporting requirements. I'm a safety geek, right? In my world, I help clients show their customers that they have a good safety program. And when you're a company selling goods and services to a multinational that has like 40 levels of health and safety in their organization versus the city of Camrose that has something less, I help them right-size their program to meet both of those requirements, right? The idea of harmonizing the standards that we're going to use and making them simple from the farm gate perspective to address all those other stakeholders that are coming at you is a really key opportunity here, where we can forecast what their needs are based on the global standards, the country level standards, McDonald's standards, Costco standards, whatever it is that's coming at you, you can already have a program in place to meet those requirements. So that's really the opportunity, right? It's relatively young in the world stage when you think about the people component of sustainability. We've got some room, we've got some time, but it's pressing. We need to take some steps here in Canada to protect our interests on the global stage. And the opportunity is to come together, collaborate, figure out what those minimum standards are. Again, I'm focused on people, but perhaps other parts of sustainability, right? Edward's nodding, yeah man, go. Yeah man, go. So we've got that opportunity now, let's set the stage ourselves. That's the really important message, I think, when we talk about sustainability. How are we gonna do this? How are we gonna do this? I can tell you I don't have all the answers. You guys are gonna have the answers, right? Some ideas here, collaboration. We need to get together and talk about this. We need to get the organizations talking to each other. We need a very much a less siloed kind of perspective on sustainability. You know, I hope the commodity groups, for example, when we're working on sustainability initiatives, get together and say, hey, these are commonalities. Let's go with this kind of a platform, right? Let's build from a common perspective instead of hitting that farmer producer with 20 different packages that they have to comply with, right? And every one of us, I can just see the shoulders sinking here when I mention that, right? That's what's coming. If we don't take the initiative now to collaborate and move on it and build it bottom up, it's gonna come top down at us. And I've seen that in other organizations from another perspective. So the path forward, collaborate, people, let's talk, let's get going, let's talk about it, let's standardize it, let's right-size it to your operation. Let's have it provide value for you in what you do. And how can we do that? Okay? So I don't know if that gave you another bit of perspective. My passion was on the table, right? I got some examples. I would like to see each of you think about the people that are producing the food on your table. And what can you do to help them manage that process and represent that on the global stage in a very positive manner? It can be done. And I'm looking forward to helping out do it. So thank you for your time today. I think if there's any questions, we can have them now. Is there going to be question sets or? Yep. They're going to pop up as we come. I think you click on the fancy little square again, and you can ask your questions. Are there any questions from the floor? Yeah, go ahead.
John McCart with the Quebec Farmers Association. We need to educate every farmer on farm safety. We can have 100 seminars throughout the country, and if not everybody goes, the majority of people don't know what they should do. If you have employees, there's requirements that you take safety courses to ensure the safety of our employees, but for the family farm, there's no law that says you have to know about the dangers on your farm. And unfortunately, in Quebec, we lost a husband and wife to methane gas in the manure pit. Now their 3 kids don't have any parents. Another farmer was trapped in the silo, and this guy went to all the safety courses, but in the rush of knew that he shouldn't have done it and paid the price, and I'm sure the other young couple that perished in the manure pit weren't aware.
Right. So the question is, how, and I don't know if the other side of the room could hear that, gave a couple examples of some fatalities that are close to home. And they were, in some cases, aware of the safety issues and complications. In the others, perhaps they weren't. And is the question more or less along the lines of, what do we do for that? How do you protect those people? How do you help those people protect themselves? Okay, let's say training, right? Everybody goes, training, more health and safety training. I can tell you that's not the end all be all. I can tell you that training is a critical part of the learning process, of adopting a strategy at the farm gate, of protecting the people that work on the farm. Our agriculture world is changing from the family farm operation to a business, right? We are getting bigger agriculture now. As we transition into that business-orientated kind of focus, liability and other things start to come to the table, and how it's going to impact our opportunity to be sustainable going forward, right? But the grassroots family farm never goes to work to hurt themselves on any given day. How do we improve their visibility and awareness around hazards? It's organizations like the Ag safety initiatives that are going on across the country. Farm Management Canada has it as part of their program. FCEC's got a risk management process in place. We have a lot of engines that are starting to help drive that trend that we're seeing, and that's a positive direction. We just got to keep working on it. Communication, awareness, training, and in the future, sustainability is going to have some benchmarking that we're going to have to think about as well, right? It's a long road. We got some work to do. No doubt about it. Thanks for the question. How are we doing for time? Got a few minutes. How do you deal with hostility when bringing up health and safety to your employer? Okay, so this would be a worker bringing up health and safety as an issue to an employer. Well, I mean, the answer is quite clear to me. Be that person that listens. Be that person that listens to the issue, the health and safety concern that was brought to your attention, and take action, right? You don't want to be that person that said, shut up, go back to work. You don't know what you're talking about. I've got years of experience doing this, and it's fine. And then 10 seconds later, that person gets hurt, right? Be on the good side, listen. What's the most important, urgent considerations you would share with first-time farmers? Wow, what a question. That's a great question. And what would be the most urgent consideration I would share with first-time farmers? Well, generations on generations, I can say, awareness about protecting oneself is higher. So we can see that our kids today are thinking about and asking questions about the stuff they're doing more than they have in the past. Keep doing that. If you're a young farmer just starting out, head on a swivel. Look around. The scar stories I was telling you about usually come from the fact that as a farm kid, you're raised on the farm, these hazards are around you all the time, and you don't see them anymore, right? So we're blind to the hazards. So as a young farmer coming into your organization, your operation, and starting out, head on a swivel. Start asking questions. Start looking around and saying, that cord that's been on the floor for 20 years actually might be a trip hazard, and there's a machine on the other side that I might fall into, right? That would be the most urgent thing I could tell you to focus on. Try and break that paradigm of the playground as a child to a working environment. Most other industries have people start with them later in their lives, right? When they start, they get trained about the hazards in the work environment. On the farm, we go from being a farm kid playing in the playground to operating the equipment and managing it. So head on a swivel. How can we improve or add financial incentives to make safety training more accessible? I don't know. There's things like CORE. AgSafe BC has a CORE certificate. AgSafe Alberta is working on it. I'm not sure about the other provinces at this point. If CORE is part of an incentive rebate program, there's some rebate dollars available there. You can talk to others about training concerns or safety. There might be some savings there as well. Is there an online resource to teach farm safety? Yeah, go to the AgSafe websites across Canada. The Canadian Ag Safety Association has a collection of training files that are available, and you can plug into those. Sometimes they sponsor them, so they're free in that situation as well. Do you know of any group in Canada who have a people component of their sustainability program right now that we can build from? No, we don't.
Canadian Roundtable of Sustainable Beef is working towards that currently.
Okay,
Yeah.
not in place, but working towards it?
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm on their committee. So
Okay.
thank you so much, Dan.
Okay, sorry.
It
Yep,
was
thanks,
wonderful.
everybody. Yep.
Thanks, everybody.